I know it's come as a shock to you that I suffered sexual abuse in my teens because I never really talked about it, did I? Unfortunately, because of tradition that forces us to protect the name of the family rather than the victim. That's why I never talked about it. I was actually groomed from as young as 12 years, and the guy waited until I turned 16 before he sexually abused me. This is how I ended up depressed, juggling the fact that I was abused and that I had to keep it a secret and protect the family. I tried to be strong. I tried to hang in there. I tried to move on. But the dude was there all the time and I just couldn't handle it. So I decided to leave the country and come to the United Kingdom. Initially, it was going to be just for a short time to find myself, to sort my head out, and then come back a better mother, sister, daughter, etc. But when I got here, I had a rude awakening because I was to find that depression was also prevalent here. And because I moved in with people from Zimbabwe, I got the same reception when I tried to talk about both the sexual abuse and the depression that I was struggling with. So I found myself sinking deeper. To cope with that, I decided to bury myself in work and study. And I worked myself into stupor. I would fall asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. But that didn't help because in the long run, I ended up in a massive car accident that almost took my life. And this is where I realized that the fight against depression and sexual abuse was going to be my own, because even with NHS health services, I struggled to get the health services that I needed, both with the injuries from the car accident and the depression that I was struggling with. All they were focused on was how much it was going to cost NHS and who was going to pay for my treatment in the first place, because they automatically assumed that I was an asylum seeker who didn't have a status in this country, though I had worked as a professional nurse in the same settings. It is interesting that this culture of silencing victims is actually not just African as I thought. It's not just Zimbabwean as I thought, but it's a global, it seems it's a global pandemic. Every country, every continent seems to want to shut people up who are struggling with depression from the basis of trauma because of the associated premeditated judgments that come with it. There's a lot of stigma attached to somebody being depressed, especially if you're somebody who has been highly esteemed before. People just can't. They just can't deal with accepting that you've gone from being a fully functional person to then being depressed. And they can't accept that it is possible for a professional, for a well-esteemed person, intelligent person, to also be abused. And this is what I had to struggle with. Though I thought the tradition of silencing talk about victimization, abuse, depression, mental health was just from my country, I have since learned that it's a global pandemic, a pandemic that we need to talk about more than we do, a pandemic that we need to respond to more positively than we do. And I think it's going to start with me, and hopefully other people will start talking as well, because we need to deal with this. Thank you.